The following podcast contains mature language and adult discussion.
Kliq This, the Kevin Nash podcast. I'm Dawn. I'm with Kevin. And I'm the second one to give you a shout out this week, Kevin, because Sting beat me to it on the last
No, it's not. I thought that was awfully nice.
AEW broadcast. You guys all see that? If anyone didn't see it, he had an in-ring with MJF, and Sting began to recount people who helped him in his career. He talked about Flair being there for him in his neon face paint stage. Then he brought up the Crow Sting and put up the Wolf Pack and said, love you, Kev, love you, Scott. So clearly, you always got along with Steve, right? I mean...
yeah, he took really good care of me when I was fucking a jabroni. I mean, he's always been my friend. He was never, there are guys that are your friends, and there's guys that you're friends with because they're in the business, and Steve was always a friend.
Mm-hmm. I never hear any shit about him. He was obviously universally liked. I guess the only shit I used to hear sometimes
He's just not a dick.
Not a dick, and
he's just nice. And this is big, he found Christ, and, he's in a great place in his life right now, but it's just like, he was a prankster, he loved a good shit rib.
Really?
Oh,
Sting?
I remember,
never heard that.
Oh, he got Bagwell one time, where it started off, that's back when you used to get the U.S. Today's, at your front door, and you'd open your door, and so fucking Sting went and shit in the middle of Bagwell's USA Today. So Bagwell grabs it. Of course, you're going right to the dumper when you grab it to sit down and read it, and opens it up, and turds fall on him. So that was number one. And then I think Steve said he left something in the back of their car when they came back from the gym, and he had a bag of shit that he put underneath the front seat and let it just simmer for the entire road trip.
Just aerate a little bit. Yeah.
And everybody was like, what the hell? And they're looking in the glove box and everywhere. Yeah, he had a couple of some good ones.
What is it with wrestlers and shit? I would ask this on the kayfabe shows all the time.
It's not
There's so many ribs you could do.
Yeah, but come on, man. It's so sophomore. Guys in general love farts, and if you could be someplace and somebody rip one, and it's disgusting. It's probably a sulfur bomb coming your way, and you might not sell the fact, but deep down inside, you're belly laughing because it's just like, especially like when somebody rips one in the elevator. And it's just you and another dude, and it's not you, and it's the rest of them is all women, and you're like, wow, you just fried these people, and I've walked. If I open up the bathroom on an airplane, and it's horrendous, before I step foot into that crime scene, I'm gonna tell the female flight attendant. If it's a dude, I don't care. If it's a female flight attendant, I'm gonna be like, oh. Man, that guy just tore this up. Do you have any coffee grinds we could throw in there? Like, I'm not taking that heat because I'm not ever dumping a deuce, nor can I on a plane. So just like,
That's a good like little Martha Stewart moment there. So coffee grinds in the bowl. Excellent.
Yeah, that way there your mouth waters, much like a cup of Kirkland Columbia coffee.
Oh, we'll get to your road trip in a little bit. With the sophomoric behavior, I think it's universally agreed that Vince McMahon is very much one of the boys when it comes to the toilet humor and stuff.
Yes.
I know somebody that worked in the production in the Titan Tower. It's not in Titan Tower. There's like a building down the street. I guess that's okay. So I knew one of the guys there. And he
Stalag 13.
Right. The off-site location, the floating bus. Anyway, so Vince comes in, and I don't know but he wants to thank everybody for some. So everybody kind of lines up, and Vince is kind of going down, and I guess he fucking tore ass, right? And it was horrendous, and he's laughing as he's shaking everyone's hand in the place. Now, they didn't hear him do it, but when he stepped up to them, the smell followed, and he's smiling like it.
Yeah, and Vince is eating at his age now. Vince is still eating 500 grams of protein. I mean, Vince is still trying to grow. He's just like, no, I'm not maintaining it. I'm gonna put some more size on.
Good God. Feedback from last week's show. Mike Miles says, been watching since the first episode. Absolutely, this show helps. Not just on a Monday either. You were always one of my favorite wrestlers, Kev. I was 9 years old and so stoked to be able to play as you on the Raw game on Super Nintendo. I appreciate all you do and have done for us fans. Praying for you every day, brother. So,
thank you.
You are in Mike Miles' prayers.
This was a tough week. Yesterday was
oh God, yeah.
The hard 6 month spot.
We're exactly at 6 months yesterday.
Six months. So just, and it's so weird because you would think but my dad died April 4th, and it's just like April 3rd of every year. And they really don't make that big of a deal out of Martin Luther King being assassinated on April 4th anymore.
That's true.
Because he has his day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, but he was assassinated the night of April 4th. And that always, coincided because my father died that morning. And it's just like, but not like the 3rd, I start to and my mom died on December 27th. So, by the time I'm out in the lot looking for a tree, I mean, I'm already thinking about how I can steal Christmas from everybody else as the Grinch, like, Christmas.
Yeah. So, it's, anyone who joined us late in the season here, Kevin's son Tristen passed 6 months yesterday. So, and it was very much an experience that Kevin chose to share with you, with the fans. And so I know the way people write to us, even to 6 months later, praying for you every day, brother. So it's I think a lot of people appreciate that kind of that openness and that closeness that you offered people. So that's what
it's like I talked to Hulk this week. We haven't talked in a while, and we just caught up, and we're just at this point we're comparing how miserable we both feel. And but he's doing that karaoke thing, and he has fun. It's like it's his gig. It's at his beach place. He gets doesn't have to travel anywhere to do it. It's just down at the end of the road. Nick's there, so he gets to spend time. He's doing it's almost like kind of what T and I were doing with this podcast. Is they're kind of doing their own thing, and Nick's been training hard. Nick's like almost 250 now, and Nick's like 6'1", 6'2", so I don't know. It might be a little baby Hulkster. He's more. Hulk said he said he ain't built like me. He's built more like Goldberg. And I'm like, well, hey, that guy didn't draw any money, or make any. So that's a bad thing,
Do you think Terry would encourage him to
I don't know. I don't even know how old Nick is. I mean,
Yeah, someone looked that up. I was going to ask that too, but I didn't want to sound like what's his name on the pay-per-view. How old is he? How much does he weigh? Art, what's his name? But yeah, he might be a little old for this. 32
32. He's not too.
to start though.
No, because he's Hulk's kid, man. That's there ain't but one of those. Hulk would know. I promise you. By now, Hulk would know.
NMLS number 65084, equal housing lender. Woo!
Tax season is here, which means you've received or are expecting that tax refund any day now, and you're thinking about what to spend it on. How about a new home? With SaveWithConrad.com, we're helping renters become homeowners every single day, and it's more affordable than you think. You don't need perfect credit. You don't need a huge down payment. In fact, you may not need a down payment at all. At SaveWithConrad.com, we take the stress out of the home buying process. We'll determine your buying power. We'll even help you find a realtor. And unlike the banks, we don't say no. We say not yet, but here's how. So if you're not ready right now, we'll get you on a plan to be ready. Stop throwing your money away, paying someone else's mortgage with your rent, and start the path towards owning your own home today at SaveWithConrad.com.
Rob VA Sales. Thank you to everyone involved in making this podcast possible. You're welcome, Rob. Robert Abishola, A+ Sean, working injured on such short notice on Easter Sunday, no less. What a team player. Carried the big man to another great podcast. Thanks for the house. All right, Robert. Jasper following in similar, Jasper Scott. So in short, you were delirious from a fever, and you fall Ric Flair style very much, flat on your face minus the stumble. Get well, drink Coke with ice and a sprinkle of salt. So let that be a remedy for everyone. And then, listen, after those nice wishes, is always just the weirdness begins. Cosmic Nomad 93. Nobody believes you fell on your face, Sean Oliver. I think you made the story up for attention. Get over yourself. I probably would have gone for something much more spectacular than, and you know, the fashionable Band-Aid on my head also helps me get over too.
I'll tell you a funny one. So it's my sister's 60th birthday, and my brother is sitting across from me, and he's missing one of his bottom teeth. And I mean, you know, we all went to Mengele as our dentist, so we're all
Joseph Mengele with forceps.
Dr. Aaron Blake, if you're still alive, fuck you. But if you're dead, don't let the Nashes find your grave, because we'll all shit on it, including my sister. But I'm looking across from him, and in unbelievable Nash, just the quality of a Nash. I said, "What happened to your tooth?" He goes, "I'm up at the gas station." And I go to grab the pump. This younger guy like snatches it away from me. I said, "Hey man, I was here first." He fucking takes it and he like whacks me in the mouth with it. And busts my tooth, and he turns it around. He's got a cigarette in his hand. He goes, "Back off, old man. I'll light you on fire." I said, "Are you fucking kidding me?" He goes, "Of course I'm kidding you."
Oh.
I bit into a chicken sandwich. My fucking tooth exploded. But I mean, just like I just looked at it. It was just like, of course. Like, you know, my sister tells her wife that she's like a high up at Little Caesars, that this is like a couple of July 4ths ago. It wasn't like the COVID one, but it was a July 4th. And because there's so many people on the Detroit side, a lot of people will go over to Windsor and watch the fireworks from Windsor, because it's cooler anyway, because the background is Detroit. So my sister tells Gina, "You didn't hear?" "Yeah, I was on Channel 4. They're not allowing anybody over for the firework. That's, you know, American. They're just not going to do it. They're going to shut the bridge and the tunnel. They're just not going to, you know, unless you're a semi, you're not going to cross the bridge." So she goes into work the next day and tells everybody, "Hey, don't think about going over the bridge because it's shut down. So Gina tells Kim, thanks for the heads up. And Kim goes, oh, fuck, I'm skidding around.
Oh my God.
And she told that story a couple summers ago, and Tristen was sitting next to her. And I mean, he fucking popped so huge. He was just like, good for you. Like, you're all Nashes, aren't you? You're all jackasses. Like, yep.
You have someone, an executive at Little Caesars in the family, and we're sitting here wondering why, after we started talking about the Detroit in the Square, that this shit started popping up.
Oh, so
everywhere?
Let me so odd. I won't remember the name of it now. Maybe Jets. Okay. So my brother has this beautiful, has been in it, I don't know, a year, whatever. I haven't been up there. It's the first time I'd been to my brother's completed lake house, which looks like something out of Coastal Living. I mean, gorgeous fucking, I'm just so happy because anybody that's, that with the last name Nash is fucking most likely taking a couple of fucking Tony Canigliaro fastballs into both eye sockets at some point. My sister's I bet you my sister's had 17 surgeries between her knees and her Achilles, and so my brother.
And your brother with the chicken sandwich,
and I absolutely, like, I'm not going to say too much because it is the mother of my niece and nephew, but not a stellar first marriage by any means, and so he says, "Well, we're going to get pizza." And the whole time that I've been up here, I'm thinking, like, two things I want to do. I want to get a fucking Detroit Coney dog. It doesn't have to be Lafayette, though, because I know I'm not in the Lafayette region, but I want to get a Coney dog, and I want a Little Caesars pizza, and I want that fucking flour on the bottom of the crust on my fingers when I fold my slice. I'm looking forward to this whole thing, and I'm just getting cheese and hamburger, but it's got to be Little Caesars.
Uh-huh.
So my brother's orders Jets, and Jets makes, of course, the Detroit-style square pizza. The round pizza that I got, there's probably 11 pizzas that are more tasty in your local supermarket freezer than that cardboard piece of shit the Jets put out. And then they made of course, they've got to have the Detroit pizza. So they got that. And the way that the cheese melts over the end of the crust is like, ugh, like, just doesn't look at. I'm just like,
Jets is this? I've never even heard of this.
I hadn't either. I'm like, so Gina's there. She's an executive from Little Caesars. You say the Little Caesars in this area suck, and we got to use Jets. But no, my brother fucking, he had a coupon for Jets,
Jets pizza. Avoid at all costs, I guess.
I told my sister the next day, I said, fuck. I said, when Mark said, let's get pizza, I'm thinking, well, there's no way I'm not going to get my Little Caesars fix. No. Bidding in the Jets.
Unless they're advertised, then I'll eat Jets 24/7.
Yeah, the good thing is about Jets is you can eat the box or the pizza crust.
Tastes exactly the same.
Absolutely the same.
I think they probably just put the sauce and cheese on the fucking box and send it out.
They might have.
That way, it sounds like. Matthew Stewart just heard Kev say how much it meant to him that if there is 1,000 people who at work are entertained by this podcast, it's a home run. I, for one, will say that I've been listening since day one. It's a huge part of my Monday. I can't wait to pop my headphones on and hear what shit will be talked this week. Klig This and that cocksucker Joey Diaz are my Mondays. Ha ha. All right,
Thank
Matthew.
you.
Very good.
It was meant to. It's just like, there's a lot of people out there that always say, hey, man, listen to it on Monday, it gets me through the day. It's like, the old song was whatever gets you through the night. But for me, I'm more worried about the day first because that's how this bitch starts. So
I was going to say, there's not much of a day in the Nash. It's kind of the morning into day into.
You know what, man? I was put on notice. I did that Airbnb thing in Detroit. Fucking, it was great. You know, check-in was great. Everything. The first place, actually, you know, it had to be a Japanese dude that owned it because it was like it was so minimal. Not even artwork or anything. It was just the most minimalistic, but clean, great coffee.
Little Costco action.
I'm not a coffee guy. I drink Herbalife, like their herbal tea. And it's got a little kick in it. But I tell you what, I drank this Colombian coffee from Costco's, and I drank that shit black. No, I mean, it was like, I said, I drank it this morning in Florida. My sister sent me a 3-pound jug of it. So
you raved about it so much on the trip she sent you.
Absolutely. Hey, that's my sis, man. She's taking care of me. So I got me 3 pounds of Costco coffee. And I tell you what, man, 2 cups this morning, 30-minute wait, boom.
Cleaned you out.
Oh. My wife goes in there, of course. If my wife made coffee, the minute the last cup was poured, the thing would be washed, the container would be washed, the grounds would be out. She walks in and she goes, Jesus, you don't fill the fucking filter to the top. She said, it's like fucking for 16 cups of coffee.
You pack the grounds.
I didn't fucking know. I mean, it was just like, I was thinking to myself, like, because she made it up in Detroit. I'm like, well, it doesn't taste quite as, it doesn't have.
Not as smooth.
Yeah, not as smooth. But the guys the checkout was 10 a.m. So I'm like, and Tamara said, like, we got back from, where were we at? We were out at the lake. So it was like a 45-minute drive. I mean, and this was, I get to see my brother. I got to see him Tuesday night at dinner, but Wednesday was at his house. And, you know, we sat out a lot. We sat out for a couple hours here and there where it was just he and I out on the dock just catching up. And it was like I wanted to push the night as far as I could because I had one beer because I'm not really drinking, so I had one beer just to have something with the pizza, wash that shit down. And so we got home late, and Tamara was just like, I'm looking at the email, and we got to be out of here at 10 a.m. They got a cleaning crew. That's fucking. You send a guy a message, tell him we'll give him an extra $50. We can check out at noon. No.
They were there at 10.
No, I mean, it was a cruise ship. As I said, I told my wife, I said, oh, there's nothing worse than a cruise ship. They fucking usually have to get armed fucking guys to get me off a cruise ship because they want you to get off at 6. I'm like, I'm ordering room service breakfast at 9. Sir, I'm sorry. What? Come on. Put another 300 on my bill. Let me just sit in here for a while.
Did you feel safe in the Airbnbs when you went into the home?
I felt safe in the first one because it was.
Which was what city now? That was
Troy, Michigan, but it's over by the Somerset. I mean, it's. Put it this way, I could have walked to the Ruth Chris. I mean, it's in that kind of a neighborhood.
Right.
19 little breakfast places that are open from, like 9 to 3. And yeah, just great cuisine all around. A powerhouse gym that's in Troy there that was maybe 1.25 miles from my front door. So great place to train. It was like, you couldn't have beat it. And then we left there. I saw my stepdad, hung out with him on Thursday. And then after we finished visiting with my stepdad, we went and we drove to see our friends, Tammy and Max, who did the show after T passed.
Yes.
We went up to Sharon, Hermitage, Sharpsville, transfer that area up in north of Pennsylvania. So we went up there, and we ended up staying in Cortland, Ohio, because there were no 2 bedrooms in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And it was only like 16 miles by the crow, but I mean it was a pretty rough back road, 16 miles. But it was a standalone house. Where the first place was a big it was a luxury. I think at one point it was either luxury apartments or luxury condos.
Mm-hmm.
And we were on the 2nd floor, all the way at the end of the hallway with an elevator. So, and I parked right out front. So, and it was really well lit. So I wasn't worried at all about that. But the next house was, so. I've never stayed in Airbnb before, so I don't know what's the MO on check-in. And so the second one I get to, and I look at my phone, it says use the date you check in as your
pin, like your security pin for the alarm.
That's going to, but I mean that's going to open that's actually going to open the deadbolt. So, yeah, Steve's saying door code, exactly. So,
very, very secure choice for them, by the way. Nice secret number, the date you're fucking there.
Yeah, they give us the month and day you check in. So if anybody knows that that's the code, all they got to do is wait till fucking a vehicle parks in front of the house and go, okay, got the code. So every night, without scaring my wife to shits, I have to, and you got to go in, and there's a small little landing, then there's maybe 4 steps, but once you get around the 4th step, it's open. So like to the right is the TV and the couch and the recliner. In front of that is the table with chairs, and then dead in front of you is the entire kitchen, but you can't see around the little corner that goes down the hallway. So I immediately take like a big power step. From the second to the last step, I just take a big power step and thrust myself into the kitchen. So if anybody's there, I can fucking turn back, and if they, unless they're gonna, I think I would have had to jump on them because I could have covered the area. But I'm just trying to get to this over by the oven so I can grab the largest butcher knife in the block.
Oh God, this is vacation.
Fuck it, man.
Oh.
So I grab it, I got that shit turned
Grizzly Adams.
I got to turn sideways in case I got no matter how I got this. I'm like a fucking seal in a knife fight. So I go through the fucking house. I just tell Tamara, just stand here, and then, I'll give you the all clear. And so I go through, and the first thing I did was, the first door to the right is the bathroom with the shower curtain. So now, when you check in, it's closed. So that's your, boom. Now, every other closet, they're all cloth closets, with the big rings in the pole, the kind of canvas, so they don't get their doors dinged up and shit. So, so the first time through, you've not only do you have to establish the lights and everything else, but you've got to establish, the kill zones. So the second time through, I've just got lights on everywhere. So now it's just walk through, and it's just, and my wife looked at me, she says, is this really necessary? I says, fucking, I sure hope not. Like, would you not have the Detroit guy go through the house and clear it? And then wake up, with somebody going shh with a ski mask and a knife to your throat? I don't think so.
Well, with the wickedly secure door code, though, Kev, they don't have to precede you in there. They could wait till you go to sleep.
Yeah, but I've got 2 Toomey bags that on rollers that if you open that door, those motherfuckers are going down the steps to the locked-in basement. I won't sleep through that. And the knife is in my hand. So by the time you get over those Toomies, my long arm will be stabbing you on the top of your scalp with that butcher knife. Now, and as I said, remember they used to make those club door handle things. They were like long. They had like a black plastic thing. You shove
Yes,
them
you're under the door.
Yeah,
exactly, under the door.
And like, they were great for apartments and shit like that. And I said to myself, I'm going to get one of those if I have to. And hopefully they make a retractable one.
Collapsible travel door gimmick.
And if not, I'm going to make one because this Airbnb, well, I'll fucking sell the thing, man, because you can't tell me I'm the only, come on. 3 kids fucking went down a wrong driveway this week and got shot.
Oh my God, don't ring the wrong bell.
Hey, I mean, what the fuck? Private drive. Some hot broads driving some guys up there with a sniper. Too much Netflix, motherfucker. What are you doing? You just randomly shoot 5 rounds at a car? Cheerleaders are yesterday. It was last night in Texas. Some cheerleaders are finishing a gig, and they all kind of parked in the same area, and one of them mistakenly went towards the wrong car, and she like saw that he had a gun. She got in the car, and the guy opened fire, fired five rounds and hit one of them. But then, of course, the young black kid that got shot in the head by Bela Lugosi.
He was terrified.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, so terrified he went out and shot him again. And he makes $200,000 bond. I don't know. That's another ongoing theme. But they didn't arrest him. I mean, that was the black community saying, "What the fuck." And then them going, "Oh, well, we better look into this because we're going to start looking like Memphis and Louisville and, well, every other city in America."
You don't hold these places accountable, nothing will be done. So
right,
you got to be a little loud with that.
I saw where the family of the young black man that was killed in Memphis by the Scorpion unit is suing the city for $550 million, which they're probably already $400 million bankrupt. So,
right, yeah.
But it's just.
All right, gentlemen, if you didn't already know, it is tax season here in the U.S., and you know what that means. It means that MANSCAPED is here to make sure your paperwork is done and your boys downstairs are having fun. Make sure you spend your tax return money on the important things this year like family, friends, and ball deodorant. Join the 8 million men worldwide who trust MANSCAPED and go to manscaped.com for your 20% offer, courtesy of Kevin Nash and the Kliq This podcast. I have used about all of the MANSCAPED products and razors. I don't have a beard, but of course, Kevin has talked at length about the softness.
Oh, God, I'm telling you, that brush alone is worth the purchase. I mean,
no, which brush? Because there's a couple. I see that there's like that bamboo one.
No, not the one the comb's good. The comb's like that's the first thing you do. Then you put a little conditioner in there. Then you hit it with that brush, and then the brush becomes addictive. So you end up bringing that downstairs, and while you drink your coffee, you brush your beard, and then it becomes almost like an oral fix. Like you just keep brushing your beard over. Like it's just like you can't brush your beard enough. And I think it's almost like because gray hair is so dense,
right?
That and these products just, I mean, they actually. Like I don't have to trim my beard as often because I can manage it with product and with the grooming utensils that they give me. So,
absolutely. So take care. Hedge your beard. Okay. Now this is, of course, well, there's different packages now.
They make really quality. I mean
I love it.
The one that they sent us, the first one they sent us for our body.
That's the lawnmower, right? The lawnmower 4.0.
So today, I mean, you got to get the pits, especially now that it's getting warm down here. And you got to stay on the pits because just any pit hair at all will just hold that stink. and you don't get a good covering of deodorant. So I had left it out of the charger and went on the road because I just kind of I used that one because it was right there, and I just said I don't need a guard on it. I'm just gonna tap it up because I'd used, I trimmed it up the night before. I wasn't happy with my lip line, so I said boom boom, and I left it out. I came home, so today I'm like I pick up. I don't know what the fuck I did, but like one armpit was I could wait. The other one was like. I'm like, did I forget this fucking pit?
You did one pit is what you did.
Yeah, I'm thinking like this whole time I'm doing lat pull downs in the gym. I got one hairy pit and one no pit, But I went out of the shower and grabbed it and brought it in, not knowing for sure when I tapped it, like a glove. Quick double pit job, and then went ahead and I said. Yeah, while I'm at it, I might as well clean up that line on the base. I'm like,
yeah, get that shaft nice and smooth. And like Kevin mentioned, they're waterproof too, so you can do it right in the shower. You don't have to worry
telling you right now,
out there.
I don't give a fuck if it's just for me. I want to see an extra inch of my cock.
And that's the way to do it. The Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, it's the star of the show. Offers a precise shave on all of your wildest hedges. It's equipped with an LED light, so you can see where you're going, baby. Okay, more exciting news. The Performance Package 4.0 now includes Manscaped's brand new Weed Whacker 2.0 hair and nose and ear trimmer, ear and nose hair trimmer is what I'm trying to say. This bad boy has been totally revamped with a new and improved blade and motor, and dare I say the best ear, nose, hair trimmer ever. Cordless, rechargeable, comes with the skin-safe technology. Okay, all of their razors help reduce nicks, snags, tugs. Okay. And that's not even to mention the Crop Preserver, the anti-chafing ball deodorant. I'm a big fan of the Crop Reviver. That's the spray-on toner. Throw that in your bag when you go out for the day. You got to hit that real quick in the bathroom. You can do it. Guys, 20% off plus free shipping when you use the code KLIQ, K-L-I-Q, at manscaped.com. No bullshit. I use these products. They're tremendous. I slipped into a little Joey Diaz there. It's all right. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code KLIQ at manscaped.com. Don't just get your money back this year. Get your swagger back, too, this tax season with Manscaped. Thank you, Manscaped.
Quality products.
I don't want to get off something here. I want to go back to the house in Pennsylvania for a minute. You have to clear this house. Now, you're obviously going out to visit, and then you're coming. Every time you came back to this house, did you clear the house with the knife?
Absolutely. 3 times.
What's Tamara saying to you with this? Is this tedious at all? She's like, I'll be in the car.
No, this
just
is
wave me in when we're good.
This is a woman that has been married to me for 35 years.
Oh, God bless us. When I get that interview, let me tell you, when I get that interview, that's when we're going through the roof.
And the thing is, now it's even worse because, I never wanted, with Tristen had a little bit of a temper, and I never wanted, like, I had a handgun with me at all times. I just walked it from room to room. I never left it. I'd take it in the shitter, and I would put it next to my bed at night. But every other firearm was locked up in a safe.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like I'm about 6 steps from some kind of a weapon, whether it's a K-bar or an aluminum baseball bat or, if there's access, if there's access to that area from outside or where you can cause me some shit, you
got to be ready.
Yeah, you come up my stairs and see if you don't take a little double buckshot in the top of your skull from the upper. And I got a plate. Don't worry, because I got a plate of steel right there, so you can shoot all you want through that and think you're gonna get me.
Your family now. I remember on one of my shows a long time ago, you talked about your concerns based on your father's early passing and the heart issue. And the quote, I think, was, "There's no 60-year-old Nashes."
Right.
Or no 15-year-old Great Danes, you likened it to, at the dog park. Now, you're over 60. Your brother's older, right?
66.
He's 66.
And my sister, my
Just
baby sister fucking turned 60.
Right.
Which was just...
So the Nash DNA is making a turn for the better here. Clearly.
Yeah, I think like anything else, I think, they always say survival of the fittest, it's like no survival of those that adapt. I think that all of us took the carton of cigarettes a day out of our diet, which
the Bob Nash health plan.
The Bob Nash health plan, where it's a carton of cigarettes a day that you take to work, and when you come home,
that's Fit Bob is the app. Fit Bob.
Fitbob.com, and he'll also show you how to drink Cuddy Sark, Scotch.
Little Cuddy, huh?
Little Cuddy. Occasionally a little blended Canadian mist from across the Detroit River,
water there, yeah,
and Windsor, little Canadian mist with its not. Don't bring no bullshit Sprite in that house. 7 Up.
So he did the 7 and 7 gimmick.
Oh yeah,
7 and 7s, classic. But your brother's in good health.
Yeah, everything's better with the cigarettes. You know that 7 and 7, and 6 or 7 Philip Morris non-filters.
I smoked cigarettes. I smoked cigarettes for 10 years.
Did you really?
I did, and you know what? I grew up in a home. Listen, in the 70s, every house.
Oh fuck! I mean,
nowadays they act like you walk past secondhand smoke in the street, you have to go to the emergency room. But the car always had cigarettes going. My father smoked in the house constantly, and I hated it. And even into like high school, my friends would smoke at school, and it smelled like shit, and they smelled like shit, and I hated it. I was on a fucking film set. I'm like 25. With all the fucking downtime and everybody smoking, so to stay awake on late night shoots and stuff as a stimulant,
that nicotine will keep you awake.
Doing smoking and coffee, and then that lasted like a pack a day for about 10 years, and I loved it. You know what it is? The thing that I've never been able to replace. When I quit, I went straight, and I never had. I mean, it's been 16 years. I've never had a cigarette, but the thing that is lost, people don't realize there's a meditation to a cigarette. You're forcibly breathing deep. You're packing about 1,000 carcinogens in with the breath, but you're forced to take long breaths. You usually do it like when you weren't able to smoke indoors anymore, you went out. So if shit got crazy at work, you're like, you know what, fuck this. I'm going to have a cigarette. I'll be back in 10 minutes. You went out for a meditation, you calmed down, you forcibly got away from a situation, everyone accepted it. All right, he's just going down for a cigarette, he'll be back. And you do that deep breathing, and that is the hard thing to get past, the mental aspect of it. But it kills you, so please, everyone out there, do not
Yeah,
smoke.
I'd rather smoke a joint and get something out of it.
Right. Well, that's the thing people would say to me. They're like, you're getting nothing out of that fucking thing.
That was
buzzed with something else.
That was always, when somebody lit up a cigarette around Scott, he'd always say, so, is that for health benefits or just the minty fresh breath?
Yeah.
And they go, what? I say, never mind.
So all in all, now how's you mentioned your stepfather. He's got to be
86, 87?
86. Yeah. Is he remarried?
Yeah, he got remarried. It was a while after my mom passed, but my mom was a good mom / wife, so he definitely wasn't going to be able to take very good, because he left his mom's house to move in with my mom. So.
Oh, so he went from being taken care of at home to being taken care of by Mrs. Nash. Yeah.
So.
But so he is he in good health? 86.
I
mean, you don't have those genetics, obviously. He's your stepfather. But...
No, he's Scottish. Fuck, he's 5'7". Well, if I can't walk around without fucking bumping into a 17-year-old Chihuahua.
So short guys like me, I'm going to live a long time. This is what this is an indication of.
Obviously not with that 10-year fucking streak of being grounded. that mental health slash general health
challenge for monkey on my back.
Yeah,
It's more that I fall now. I say things like I fell when I have band, and I want to go through the story.
If you get on that treadmill next to you a little bit, maybe get those.
Boy, this lays out the sweaters that I can't put in the dryer so nicely. Someday maybe I'll do the show from the treadmill if I'm so inspired.
Hey guys, Double J, Jeff Jarrett. Need to call a timeout real quick here. I wanted to tell your listeners what I've been telling my world listeners for a while now. It's about all the incredible things happening over on adfreeshows.com.
Jim Johnston created the soundtrack for generations of WWE fans with some of the most iconic themes in history. Jim sits down with Conrad to take us behind some of those classic themes, including The Ultimate Warrior.
And then I recorded that. And then just over that, you're just doing. You know, it's so simple, but that's what felt like him.
Plus, an all-new edition of The Book is here, as David Crockett takes us page by page, gate by gate, through the JCP booking logs of April 1985.
On Sunday, April 14th, you start the day with a 2 p.m. show in Richmond, Virginia, 43 grand. An hour later, Asheville, North Carolina kicks off, and it's another 63-63. But then that night, you guys all cruise to Atlanta, $31,000 at the gate. Talk about a banner day for Jim Crockett Promotions. This is hard to beat, man.
Hey, that's just a small taste of what Ad Free Shows has waiting for you, including a brand new perk, getting to join in on the live recordings of the shows with 4 levels to choose from. See for yourself why Ad Free Shows is the best value in wrestling today. Sign up now at adfreeshows.com. That's right, sign up today at adfreeshows.com.
Maybe next week when we do a watch-along for everybody. Actually, if you're watching on Monday when we go live, it'll be Tuesday. It'll be tomorrow. Tomorrow, that'll be the 25th tomorrow would be of April. Am I right about this? Yeah.
Just remind me.
25th. I'll get you taken care of.
I got such a busy schedule.
And we will announce what the match is that we'll be watching. Next week, you go to Ad Free Shows for that. Make sure you're signed up and you're able to watch the watch along. So I get to see Bruce finally, thanks to Game Time, one of our advertisers. Not on this week, but I'll give them a shout out nonetheless. I got my tickets.
No, I mean, that's huge, man. To have an app like that you can go and
you snipe the tickets. I was watching them all week. I knew the section I wanted to be in, right? And I just check every day, every few hours, see what's up, because the prices fluctuate like the market. So you can buy or sell tickets on Game Time. So I went on to the sell to see what the psychology was, and they talk about they have a very advanced algorithm which stays ahead of the demand of the market. So I knew things were going to change day to day as we get closer to the date. The morning of the show, Friday morning, I go on, and the price, I think it was $260 a ticket. 18 rows from the stage on the side, because I wanted to see, with the Bruce show, they talk about the electricity. I wanted the audience face. I didn't want to be in the audience facing the back of the heads. I wanted to see the faces of everybody watching the stage. I wanted to watch it all like an experiment. So I wanted to have Bruce, but I wanted to have the fellow New Jerseyans. So get the tickets, great, go to the show. So now I know Bruce is known for the long shows, and I looked at some of the other shows on the tour, and he's playing about 3 hours.
Wesley just said that he said our crowd thinks you're talking about Pritchard, so we better say Springsteen.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I'm saying Bruce like everybody lives up here. Yeah.
Right.
Excellent. No, I'll be talking like this. That's a different story, but no, yeah. So it's a 3-hour show, right? So we're leaving. Now, my wife doesn't like concerts, but again, she'll do anything I ask. So we're going, and she's gonna have a good time. And I see the heels. come down. I hear the heels, I see the heels, and I'm like, oh, I think this is going to be like a standing for 3 hours kind of thing, Bruce, in Newark, But do I say that? Absolutely. I say nothing. You look lovely, I think I might have said. And that's it. The universe will straighten that out by itself in the arena. So we go to the arena. We're there. The show's great. He's a machine. I think he played 2 hours and 55 minutes. No stories in between songs. 1, 2, 3, 4 into the next song for almost 3 hours. He took a sip of water once that I definitely saw.
Yeah, I mean, he's going that long at his age. He definitely would have had to piss if he would have hydrated.
Right. It's maybe could have hooked up a bag. But he
Catheter.
Absolute machine. Incredible show. Might be the best show I've seen. And here's what happened. So I get home and I'm like, ooh, I took some video. I posted some stuff on Instagram. But I said, somebody must have taped the show. So I'm watching a YouTube broadcast of the show. I'm like, oh, this is pretty interesting. This is kind of like where I was, like my vantage point. So this is cool. It's like reliving the show. And then I am watching and I see the backs of one of the guys down. Like, that looks a little bit like the dick that was next to me. And then I'm horrified to see the red circle. It's me. I'm in the frame doing my white guy sway with my hands in my pocket for this whole video. I can't watch it now. I have to turn it off because I'm watching myself instead of Springsteen.
But you got your hands in your pockets.
I did the Nash. I did the Nash to add a little cool.
Yeah, you got it. So, okay, here's my question. What did he open with and what did he end with?
Okay. So I looked at the set lists from previous nights to see what to expect. And because he was in Jersey, it was the only time he opened with it on the tour. He opened with Hometown Hero. And the other change in the set list was the first encore was Jersey Girl. And last song, 10th Avenue Freeze Out, maybe? His encore was about 8 songs. He did, I think it was like 27 songs. Lights went out for a second. Band takes a bow. Everyone goes back to the instruments, and they do 8 more songs. So yeah, 3 hours. It was pretty remarkable. I think what's his name? John Alba on this network. Can someone confirm? He's a big Bruce head. Is he from Jersey? I'll have to say hi to him next time. He did he was doing those when we did the show in Nashville. He did the in-betweens with the girl, like in between shows. Like, coming up next, we have Klig This, and maybe he hosts a podcast as well. I don't know. But he does something here. Very good.
He does the Matt Hardy show.
Okay. All right. So props to him.
Not to be mistaken with Jessica Alba. Snort.
It's snort something else, right? What's that?
Slurp.
Snort slurp. All right. Listen, something that I'm consistent. If you're going to snort and slurp, you might as well be ready for the occasion with BlueChew. Okay, BlueChew, always sponsoring our stiff one of the week, and this week is no exception. Our friends at BlueChew, our oldest and most dedicated friends at BlueChew. It's about confidence, guys. We're just talking about confidence in the bedroom. You must remember the days when you were always ready to go, drop of a hat, right? Well, now you can increase your performance and get that extra confidence in bed back. BlueChew.com, the unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but in chewable tablets and literally a fraction of the cost. Take them anytime, day, night. Plan ahead. Just be ready when the opportunity arises, okay? The process is simple. You're going to sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Best part, all done online, okay? No visits to the doctor's office, no weird conversations, no waiting in line at the pharmacy. Just go online, and it is delivered to your door. Listen, does it work? Do you think you don't need it? Think you're going to need it? Let us allow you to try it free for a month and see. answer all your questions, okay? Men everywhere are now excited to see the postman because when your package arrives, baby, your package has arrived. So here's what we want you to do. You're going to go to BlueChew.com, chew it and do it. And we're going to give you your first month free when you use the promo code NASH at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping, okay? That's BlueChew.com, promo code NASH to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the Stiff One of the Week on the Kliq This podcast. This week, I'm kind of in a sports vibe with a lot of these stiff ones. So here is the incomparable Mike Ditka. Did you like Mike Ditka?
Yes.
So he had a hot mic on the sidelines, and he fires an assistant coach. I think the quarterback coach on air. Watch this.
Whose fault do you think that is, Danny? Whose fault? Whose fault do you think that is? Quarterback all the way. Yes. I told you switch quarterbacks. Now you want to keep playing?
Tell me, step one. Tell me first of all.
Danny, you're in.
You want to tell me what to do?
Danny's in. Okay. Danny's in at quarterback. Whose fault was that play?
It's mine. It's my fault. What else? You want me to call the? You want me, coach?
You won't call anymore. You're finished. That's okay. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. Don't worry about it. It's okay. Don't worry about it. I'll call him.
I tried to find the assistant coach's name, and I couldn't. Poor son of a bitch. Did you see his fucking face?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, he starts to go, okay, so step one, what do we have to do? Don't worry about it. You're done. I'm sorry. Unbelievable.
See, that's what happens. Get fired, fuck around with the bags. It's all the same.
Dear Sexy is back. Okay, 2 letters from the Dear Abby archives. Let's see what Kevin Nash would have given for advice. 2 interesting ones this week. Dear Sexy, my problem is unusual, but I'm hoping you can address it in your column. I'm a married man, confident in who I am, who wears skirts for comfort. I feel skirts are more comfortable than pants, which I find tight, restrictive, and uncomfortable. I wear skirts around the house, when I'm out running errands, and when I attend church. My clergyman has raised no objection to it. After much research, my wife and I have concluded that the only thing against men wearing skirts is social pressure, and then only in certain countries, America being one of them. Pants are a relatively new style of clothing. For thousands of years of recorded history, men and women both wore skirts. The women fought for and won the right to wear pants, shorts, or whatever they wanted, which is great. I believe men should have the same option. My wife supports me in this. Our problem is some family members who disagree have talked behind our backs, started rumors, and turned people against us with false information. How can I make them understand they are entitled to their belief, but they shouldn't gossip and create problems for us because I am not doing anything wrong? Joe in Pennsylvania asks this.
Well, to the family members that have a problem with it, I would just walk up to them and just politely say, "You're done. You're no longer my family."
They might say, "I'm sorry."
Yeah, I'm sorry. Wear the skirt. I mean, obviously, this is a different time, a different era that this Dear Abby was asked, because now it's just like, and?
Yeah, really. You could do anything, probably.
You know, it's just like, right. You know, I saw some of the people, there was like a backlash on the Giselle thing where they're saying, you know, she's a dude. She's not a dude, man. She's went through a gender. I want to get this out because there's
with the Steiner thing, you mean?
Yeah. I want to get this out because a lot of people just, they have these, they just don't have, they don't think. And there's somebody that is close to us that I knew for over probably 30 years as a male. And they have went in and had the full Monty.
The full Monty. Okay.
Yeah. They prefer to be called she. And I asked because it's just really hard for me to fathom, you know, that that to make that decision, especially that late in life, you know? And so I knew that it had to be something traumatic. And I just wanted, and I said, you don't have to say anything. You don't owe me an explanation. I don't expect one. I said, I just want to know how the thought process brought you to this place so late in life. And he had lost his wife to cancer. And, but there was always, talk that he wore women's lingerie and women's underwear and stuff like that underneath his clothes, but he always, was like a truck driver and had, like a blue collar job.
How did you hear that he would be wearing
It was.
Is this something that he was confiding in you?
No, he was confiding in his wife, and his wife was a friend of my wife.
Oh, okay. So, all right.
But we're a pretty non-judgment fucking crew at my crib, and he told me that when he was young, like 5 to 10, those years, that he was raped and sodomized and molested repetitively by 3 males that were in his, either uncle, a brother, cousin, whatever it was. And that when his wife passed, he just didn't want to ever see another penis, including on himself. And he went through the transformation. And you think about how fucking sad that is. And it's like, before you fucking judge, you've got to take that fucking, and people don't, and I'm as guilty as everybody. I'm as guilty as everybody. I jump to my fucking bullshit because I'm always fucking right conclusions. And there's a lot of shit that goes on in this world that's fucked up. And at 50 years old, if that move fucking takes an ounce of that pain away, then fuck yes.
Mm-hmm.
And if he walks by somebody, they don't have a right to say shit to him.
Yeah. And I think what happens today is movements like this are like a pendulum, and they go to their maximum, and then they start to retract again a little and come towards center. So there has been such a push for openness and acceptance, which is fine. What tends to happen, though, is the extreme. We always talk about the extremes on the show. The extreme cases get spotlighted, and it draws ridicule because you're hearing about one particular case and not the median average of what folks emotionally have to go through to get to this point. And, I have a daughter in high school, so this theme is prevalent in high schools and even in elementary schools. So that discussion, how does one know that this is the chosen path that they were given? I don't know that I would know at 5, 10, 12. Even if I were having feelings that were different, I don't know that I could have been trusted to make such a decision. I know girls that my daughter knew who were addressed as he's for a while. They were she's. She knew them in she's. Then it was the he's. And then within the 4 years, they were back to she's. So it's separating the extreme cases that make people raise eyebrows with the situations that the difficult situation where someone is dealing with an identity crisis. And it's probably a very small case, but because it gets spotlit, it becomes the talking point.
And another thing that you always have to put into the equation is, you could be from a very rural area and have very little contact with people your own age. And you could become sexually curious, and really the only choice you have, in front of you is somebody of the same sex. Doesn't in any means, form, or fashion mean you're homosexual, bisexual. It's just that you're experimenting. I think there's a lot of people out there that probably experimented with somebody of the same sex, and then found that wasn't wasn't what they were looking for, or wasn't. And as they got older and
Summer of '92.
Yeah, well, but you see, I'm always trying to be serious, and you're always fucking around.
I am.
But I'm just saying though that it's just because I sang that the purpose of a woman is to love a man, and purpose of, I sang that just because it came to my mind, and when I got done singing it, I said, "Wow, that was such a fucking homophobic song that I just sang." And it's not how I feel in any form or fashion. The purpose of everybody is to love everybody. It doesn't matter what as long as you're happy. And
the other thing too, this story that you're responding to, Joe from Pennsylvania, right, with the skirt.
Yeah.
Cross-dressing, or I think he's just dressing for comfort. I mean, I don't think this is an identity crisis, or was.
I think he's got a fucking hell of a set of calves, like a lot of those fucking dudes do that you see that get on the plane. They're overweight, but they got those giant calves, and they're just a fat dude in a pair of pants, but in a kilt. The fucking calves on that motherfucker.
I mean, you don't know. He might have elephantitis of the nuts. You don't know these things. But this is not an identity. He just is more comfortable. But even with cross-dressers, would that be the transvestites, where a lot of the men who were dressing like women, I'm told, were straight. They sleep with women. They're not attracted to men, but they longed to dress like the women that they were with.
Well, women's clothing is fucking way more stylish. I mean, just.
Oh, this fucking thong. I've been rocking and rolling in this seat, going back and flossing for the last half hour. But all right. So anyway, so for Joe in Pennsylvania,
I can't find clothes for a dude to fit me, so I'm really fucked. I have to get the old singer out and make my own shit.
So Joe in Pennsylvania, who just enjoys wearing skirts, he should continue to do this and just tell his family to fuck off.
Especially when your fucking wife's cool with it. I mean, that's kind of the, the person in our last one was the guy that was, she was sticking in there but he was wandering, off the reservation to the point of
getting a change. Yeah.
Well, I mean, but it was almost like, let's be friends to his wife. And she was like, well, I didn't, we can still be friends, but not under the guise of us being married, because, if you're going to do your thing, I'm going to do my thing. Yeah, we can stay friends, but just realize that I'm a female, and by the time you get changed, I'm going to be getting, it starts at 50% for the female. So you're going to get fucked.
All right, next letter. Dear Sexy, a few months ago, I moved into a new apartment. The complex, while not luxurious, is quite nice. A few weeks after I moved in, one of my neighbors informed me that the woman who lives across from me is running a business from her home. Her services are illegal, if you know what I mean. I have noticed that whenever I leave my apartment or return to it, there's yet another strange man entering or leaving. I'm conflicted. This is my home too, and I shouldn't have to worry about these characters. What if they mistake my door for hers? Well, if you're in the wrong state, you get shot through it.
Yeah,
so don't.
Twice.
Also, I've overheard this woman on her cell phone making arrangements for these individuals to come over.
No, this is cell phone era, so this is at least kind of.
This is more recent. Yeah, she even gives out the gate code to them. And it's the date that they moved in, so it's just anyone
who doesn't have it.
Although I would like to report these illegal activities, I'm afraid of retaliation. What is the best way to handle this? Should I look the other way or mind my own business the way other neighbors have? Signed, It's My Home in Washington State.
Yeah, fuck it up. Your shit goes sideways. We praying to God you had a fucking blowjob across the street for $1.25. Fuck.
It doesn't seem to me like anyone's bothering her.
Yeah, mind your own fucking business. What's the difference if fucking you had a 600-pound woman living in a house and there was a Grubhub motherfucker stopping by every 2 hours. Really? Is that big of a fucking deal? You know what? Get another fucking job so you can afford your own fucking crib and move out of the apartment. Because that's your fucking problem. Or move back to your mom's basement where there's no fucking windows. Fuck you.
I think she's jealous. Maybe the woman across the street gets a little more business. I think this is a
Exactly.
competing.
I thought he was going to say he was a fucking union plumber and she was running some illegal fucking snake business or some snaking some guy's toilet for fucking $25 instead of going through the union.
Non-union operation.
Yeah,
Shut them down. There's
fuck
Detroit
that.
Kev.
Yeah,
launching
if
in.
it's non-union, fucking get rid of them. But if it's, hey, that's the oldest profession, man.
That's what Sullivan said that to me one time. He goes, you know what? Old prostitutes, old buildings, and old politicians have in common credibility. I heard she had a steady business.
That's my boy.
He's great. She had a steady business. I did watch Raw. I meant to tell you.
I watched Raw.
Okay. So I was a little excited by the promise of... I was a little intrigued by the promise of the BloodLine and the Judgment Day angle, which starts as a kind of partnership in the beginning of the show when Heyman sells it as a, you scratch my back, I scratch yours kind of thing. And he's got a hell of a back to scratch. Probably, I'd imagine, very hairy as well. And so I'm further intrigued by the fact that I see this is going to end in a schmaz at the end of the night. And you got, 12 freaking people in the ring or whatever. So this is going to be one of those old school, signing off at 8:05. Tony Schiavone, we got to go. And they're still coming into the ring at the TBS studios. But there was a very protracted schmaz that stayed out there and was basically another match. And maybe showed a little bit too much of the schmaz.
No,
I mean, how long can the cum shot go on for, right?
Yeah, that it becomes a situation where that's got to be hot. They were trying so hard in the truck not to catch rotten shit that they fucking missed Ray's beautiful 619.
Oh, the 619, yeah.
Behind it was in the background because they were too busy. Somebody looked like Scott used to always call it when a guy got on top of another guy and he'd do them shitty punches. He'd say, yeah, and then the motherfucker got on top of me and started fucking beating egg whites.
Yeah.
Look like you beat up some egg whites before you cook them. And that's what I said, man. There was egg whites going on all over the place. It's just like
there was nowhere to cut almost actually in the truck.
You couldn't because
go back to the master, the hard camera.
Yeah, but it was just too long. Like
right.
You can't. There's a reason why a battle royal that's why the Royal Rumble is so great. Is because it starts off and it's 1 versus 1. Then if they, then there's 3 guys, and there's maybe one gets. There's a chance.
And you could book it to where there's no more than 5, 6 guys in the ring at one time throughout the whole thing. Yeah.
You can. That's why that's so successful. Whereas, the schma. The thing I used to hate worse in life is when we were at WCW and they would do this thing at house shows where they would start the card with a battle royal. So the first 2 guys, the first guy went out and then the next guy that went out, they would wrestle each other in the first singles match.
Oh, so that would set the rest of the card?
It would set the whole card, how people went out. And then the last 2 guys, standing would come back for the main event. And it was so redundant.
That was the shithouse stampede is what that was.
Yes, it was the shithouse stampede. I guess they were so pissed off that 1,200 people showed up. They're going to make sure that 800 showed up the next time they came into town. But what a fucking... And if you're one of the boys, that's exactly what you want to do, is you want to break a sweat and then sit in your fucking gear till you go on next to last.
Right.
or you draw the straw to go against, like maybe a Vader or John Tenta, who may have been sitting in their sweaty
their entire
singlet
career,
for
their entire career,
or the night at least.
yeah.
Getting back to the schmaz or battle royals or whatever, the sheer athleticism of so many of the athletes in wrestling today, are we missing in the training in these performance centers? Are we missing out on like the close combat type stuff? Is there such an emphasis on hitting the ropes and coming off the rope and the arm drags and everything? That
All right,
just
here's
the
one for
basic, being in a corner and throwing realistic punches which
Yeah,
look like they're knocking your
name
jaw off.
name a guy that's been in the business less than 4 years that throws a great punch.
Less than 4 years.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years. Just like not Orton, not not somebody that's been doing this for. I mean, name
Of today's roster? Or
Yeah.
because a lot of guys I watched as a kid threw hellacious punches. But well, I don't know.
I think Damian Priest throws a good punch. I mean, but he's also elevated. Like the guys that can do it are elevated quickly, and they're put to the forefront. Like he's always had a good look. Like he's a bigger guy. Like last night, even though he was framed, or last Monday, that he was framed closest to the camera where he's going to look bigger, he just is a bigger guy. So when the Uso, the bloodline was, up against them, it made more sense for Damian to have had the conversation with Paul, but if I'm Finn, I'm like, well, you couldn't smart me the fuck up before we walked out.
But so are they trained to punch? Are they shown to punch?
Yeah.
Is time spent on this?
I'm sure it is, but it's just like what happens is you get into to spot fest mode. So instead of like throwing a punch and letting the guy sell the punch and then picking him up and pushing him, like I said, the worst thing you can do is throw 3 bad punches just to back a guy up so you can throw him off the rope, when you can kick him in the stomach and double him over and send him off right from there. If you don't want contact, he can duck it on 2 steps just as easy as it actually looks better, because a lot of times you're cocking instead of, like, the worst thing on earth is when you send a guy off and it's duck the clothesline and the guy really doesn't duck enough, so you have to do the old lay over the top of him.
Oh, right.
Which is, I mean, that's rotten 101. But so since we're talking about this show, again, we have a situation where there's verbiage, and Brock comes down in a fucking duster and cowboy hat. So if we go back to the Raw after Mania, Brock jumped Cody and beat him
senseless.
I mean, yeah. I mean, just beat him for 8 minutes. Cody comes down, and he's not medically cleared because of the beating that Brock gave him, but wants a piece of him. And for that, they send 25 security guys in waves, not one of them bigger than Cody.
Or my daughter, some of them, actually.
Yeah. Or Dink.
Is this on purpose so that Cody still looks like he could break through the fracas?
I know it's a babyface thing that he's, that it doesn't matter what he wants his, he wants his pound of flesh. He wants his revenge. And he keeps making reference to the fact that he didn't win at WrestleMania. that's absolutely evident since you don't have a belt. You don't have to bring it up every week that you didn't win at WrestleMania. I get it. People are still with you. Don't lose them, but don't do this. Don't walk to the hard camera after Brock leaves and all the smoke is cleared and say, "You're no cowboy, Brock Lesnar, because I know a cowboy." You know, his dad worked, the cowboy hat and the Austin gimmick boots. And what you are, boom, boom, boom,
Fighting words.
is a coward. Now, I don't know.
Doesn't pack the power of
not
what
quite
you
like what
finish
you
your show with, finish your segment with.
No, it's just, I just saw that he didn't have knee pads on. It's like, don't tell me that you guys aren't going. It's like, it's not booked to go. He'd gotten Roman's face in a 3-piece suit. Roman was in a tracksuit and tennis shoes. I knew that wasn't going nowhere. Nobody's going to fight. Nobody is stupid enough to tear up a $2,000 suit to make it be more realistic.
Right.
So
Flair used to do that in the 80s. He would always get the shit ripped off him in the at ringside with Shivani on the mic.
that's because it had fucking lipstick from some broad he was with that week, and he
He had to
couldn't
get rid of it anyway.
he couldn't bring it home, so he might as well fucking write the bitch off.
Now, in talking about this show, it led me to think about factions in wrestling. And this is a fairly new thing. And when I say new, I'll say, 80s, 90s through today, like the creation of the Power faction. I couldn't think of anything before that. You had tag teams, or you had a manager that had like a tag team, and then maybe a third guy would get put with it because he was Albano's guy too. Like, Baron Cicluna would tag with the Samoans in their match because they were all under Albano. But the faction that could function independent of the manager, I couldn't think. And I know, the Meltzerites out there will post that in 1971, Bob Roop was part of some faction, but I just can't remember them. I felt this is very much an outgrowth of 80s on.
Yeah, I look at
modern
it.
wrestling.
I mean, if you were to ask me, I would start with the Horsemen, because the Von Erichs were a family.
That's a family. Freebirds tag team exclusively.
Yeah.
It's a 6-man to 3-man
Yeah, but
tag.
a faction was the Freebirds.
Did you?
We're the Horsemen.
The Horsemen, yeah. Do you consider the Kliq a faction? That was a more behind the scenes thing, right?
Yeah, but I think that in Madison Square Garden, because of who we were when we did the curtain call, and that was the Kliq. Like that was a faction. It was just a backstage faction, which I think made that moment so pivotal. And
the most real of any of the factions, because it was not just for the camera.
Right.
It was real. Right.
It wasn't booked. It was through, through friendships and miles.
And then the Horsemen, the original, you had the Andersons and Tully and Rick, and they devalue, obviously, right when they start to expand. And the first replacement, I guess, was Barry, right?
Barry, then Lex.
Lex, and then eventually we went all the way out to like Paul Roma. And do you just have to nip it in the bud and say that's it? The Horsemen?
No, because there's always, if come Bike Week, there's some fucking faction of the Molly Hatchet band playing in like 11 locations. Like, the 11th harmonica player on the 13th album of Molly Hatchet's will be tonight at Froggy's. It's like
launching into flirting with disaster.
Yeah.
But is that okay? It ceases to be Molly Hatchet.
To me, like the Horsemen were always golden as long as you had Flair.
So
You
maybe
know?
the anchor. If the anchor is there,
The anchor, yeah. I think
if you lose the lead singer,
I think the NWO, I think because it's like if Hulk, myself could still go, like we could do it. We could. I mean, Sean was such an intricate part because he was the guy that put the boots on more often than anybody else. Scott second. So of that early crew, I think that Sean Waltman, Hulk, and I are still a pretty good representation of, just there's nothing you can do when Scott's passed. But at the same time, there were some different. I think there were members of that group that were really solid when Scotty Steiner joined us. Like Scotty was he was a solid NWO guy.
Well, that becomes the thing too. If you're going to be inviting people in every week, who's a good fit for the identity of the faction, or does it become who do I need to get over? Who do we need to get over? Give them a shirt.
And that was kind of a thing, but I think that Bagwell and Steiner I think they were entertaining. It was always an entertaining segment when those guys went out there. They kind of played off each other well.
Did you ever object to any of the names being proposed to be in the NWO?
No, I mean, it didn't matter. I mean, it didn't change my paycheck.
No, but for the identity of the group,
me,
you didn't ever say.
It's like when you watch. My wife and I. My wife loves like Vikings and like 9th, 10th, 11th century English history. My wife's. So we watched on Netflix last night some movie. It was. And she had watched one of the, it was a young actor that his hair was cut on the sides, he had dreads. And she had watched one of the Viking shows that he was a star of. And he'd been a warrior, and he tried to, at this point of his career, he was, and they're all like, it's like a CW type thing,
Mm-hmm.
It's, or those Warner Brothers shows where, like, the guy had the star is like 33 and his son's 21. It was like when they had the Vampire Diaries show on one of those, like all the vampires were in high school, but they were all like 35 years old.
Right.
But anyway, we were watching that, and it was just like they were building up to the big battle, and it really didn't matter. You had your 4 or 5, top guys that you were going to follow through the battle, and everybody else was just fodder. So, I kind of looked at it. I actually made that analogy as I watched it last night, that you can do all the cutscenes you want, but you're only going to watch, you only want to watch the top 4 or 5 guys.
The main guys, right?
Yeah, doing battle.
Because this gets, the NWO eventually gets, it runs from 96 to, I guess, well, because then WWE again, 2000, right?
2002.
But after those initial guys, you got Virgil in there. As
Virgil was just, I think a rib.
Well, it was a rib that lasted. He was in there for a few years, right?
But he was with I think at that point, Virgil had, people forget that we were trying to portray that it was the WWF at that time that was making the move. That's why Ted was so important, because Ted was a branded WWF guy. And then Virgil was with Ted. So Virgil was a WWF guy. So when you looked on the screen and you saw the optic was that those are WWF guys.
That's how it started, and
Right,
that's what
and
made it very cool. I mean, Nick Patrick becomes a member of the NWO. Am I
Because
wrong
we
about
had-
this?
Yeah, but because we had to have a referee because they wanted us on the Saturday afternoon shows, 6:05, the Saturday night show.
Mm-hmm.
And we told them that if the only thing we could show up on was something that was live, because if we were interlopers and you didn't want us on your show, and it was a taped show, you would just cut us out of it. So that's when we said, this is brought to you by, and we would have those empty arena matches, and we had to have a referee, and it was Nick, but he was underneath the ski mask. It was definitely Nick. You could tell it was Nick. So, which led to us to have our own pay-per-view, which was the biggest debacle of all time, because it was the most uncool fucking thing. It should have been like James Bond on steroids, and instead it was like Porky's 3, it was just bad. Nothing against Sioux Falls, but when you think about an exotic woman and flying around in an Aston Martin, you usually picture yourself cornering hard in Sioux Falls.
Sioux Falls, exactly. That's the shot
Yeah.
that that's where I'm gonna go shoot that. Fuck Los Angeles. The Hart Foundation, which was just the tag team, it was Neidhart and Bret Hart for the 80s, but then later on, I guess mid-90s,
Became Owen and Davy Boy.
exactly right, it expanded out to the family. So I guess technically that was a faction too,
Yeah,
but that started
that's what happens when every time they put that blowtorch to that red hot Canada versus American angle, you when you go for that kind of heat, that because the old timers used to say they called it silent heat, like it was like silent white heat. And I realized later on in my career that there was nothing fucking heat about it. It was just the crowd was silent because it sucked.
they were asleep as well. Right. When Bret and Bret working for it, man, I remember those promos where he'd be like, "We have free health care in Canada, not like here." I'm like, oh, he's trying, man.
And a 50% tax rate, no matter what you make. $11, we're taking $5.50.
But company guy, man, he was going for it. But
man, you can't say anything bad about Bret.
no, of course not. But I'm saying that, they send him out there to, Vince.
He's going to sell it the best he can.
Vince has to pitch
He
that
wasn't.
idea to
He
him.
was never early maybe, but once Bret became a champion, Bret was a fucking baby face. Bret was a good baby face, a rugged, good baby face.
Yeah.
Because you can't have a heel that can out wrestle your baby face, and he can out wrestle just about every baby face.
True.
Yeah, the heel has always got to do something to cheat in order to, surpass the skills of the touted babyface. It's kind of the psychology of the whole fucking thing.
The whole thing. It's all built on it, right?
Yeah.
DX, very successful faction.
Yeah, 5 guys, six people all together.
Mm-hmm.
Good, really good run, and ran with, I believe, Shawn left, right? Didn't Shawn leave injured, then came back, or
The neck, right? Was that Shawn's neck?
Lower back, but whatever it was. But then Hunter.
Oh! I was HBK. You're talking about?
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. Waltman. Yeah. No, it was Shawn's back. Yeah.
Yeah, Shawn's back, and then Hunter took the lead, and they were still,
And that's another situation.
I was just gonna say, which I think really showed everybody what Paul could do, and then he went, he just took that forward from there.
Exactly. But that crew, the thing that I think made them was right guys, right time, attitude, edginess. Shawn could be Shawn on camera, Michaels, and they were not afraid to push the envelope in the company at the time. I don't know if you want to credit Russo with that or whoever, but
they also didn't have standard practices.
Right, that was a WCW.
Yeah, when you're
issue
pulling
when you're pulling
a rubber hand out of a 90-year-old woman's vagina, and we can't do anything where we're at. People are wondering, whoa, must have been that finger poke of doom that killed you guys. Not so much.
They had the prosthetic breasts on Mae Young. She was chasing Jerry Lawler around. For anyone that did not watch at that time, those late 90s Attitude Era when WCW and WWE were trying to outdo each other, and the lengths that WWE would go pushing the envelope. But anyway, so that sensibility though was perfect for guys like Shawn Michaels and and even
Road
Dogg also, absolutely, yeah.
I mean, and Billy Gunn would be able to
the ass stuff,
yeah, absolutely.
Now Evolution is kind of interesting. I was looking at them. Did Rick? Because I guess Rick was the centerpiece, right? It was Rick, Randy Orton.
I think that was a I would look at that like that was Pesci and De Niro and Goodfellas
with like, Triple H and Rick.
Yeah, and they took the two young guys who were going to be studs. They took Dave and Randy and brought them in. Originally, it was supposed to be Mark Jindrak was supposed to be with them. And somehow I think he pissed Paul or somebody off.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Jindrak. They did shots of the 5 of them and then shots of the 4 that Jindrak fucked. He's a friend of mine.
The model, I thought, was most similar to that Horseman model, and maybe not a coincidence that Rick was a part of it. Not just because there were 4 guys either. I guess it just felt like a call out to the Horseman, maybe even an attempt at it. But all right, there you go. Let's see.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that that's Jindrak in that picture,
right? Did they Photoshop somebody out of the photo between Rick and
that's
and
not
Mark?
Dave? That's not Dave.
No. So this was before the replacement that you're talking about.
No, I'm talking about there were 5. I don't understand why there's.
Is it possible that they swapped him out for Dave before they shot any angles?
They shot it all.
Okay.
All that promo shit was shot. So that was a picture of. And why is Jindrak that far away from?
That's what I was saying. It looks like somebody was erased.
Right.
We can't forget while we're talking about successful factions, the Dungeon of Doom, which
Sullivan,
which consisted of, for anyone short on the visual, maybe too young to remember, Kamala the Shark, the Yeti, Big Van Vader, Hugh Morris, Barbarian, Meng, One Man Gang, Zodiac, and Loch Ness, for God's sakes, was the Dungeon of Doom. It was funny. We were doing one of the timelines with Sullivan, and we brought up the booking of the Dungeon of Doom and how it has become a bit of a punchline, right? And he so perfectly explained it to me, and it set me straight right away. He said, I had to create guys that people could believe in 1993 the 93 Hogan could beat. So, we couldn't get too much with the heels, so it had to be cartoonish. So it was very much just a stable for Hogan to blow through, ultimately. And some of the more memorable promos.
Yeah, but which also is, but if you don't beat anybody, you don't. It doesn't help Hulk. If I think that was one of the things that really made the black and yellow, or the red and yellow, very stagnant. Was, you know,
Correct. Right.
but you know, you're gonna go through drought periods of talent anyway. So, I mean, I thought there was without having Roman on this Monday's Raw, I thought there was a huge vacuum.
A void left by now.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Good point. A very good point. But so let's throw out a question. Let's take the NWO, because arguably the most successful faction of which you've been a part. As merchandise continues to prove, I see NWO shirts everywhere. I was at the Bruce show. The guy.
The only place they're not is on our royalty fucking.
I didn't go there.
Yeah, there's some creative fucking accounting going on over.
I might have left the goalie out of the net, but I didn't tell you to take the shot.
Yeah, fucking. I'm the goalie that fucking knocked the fucking puck all the way back and scored.
The other net.
Like, I think it was a Boston goalie that did that.
Who was not? Who would you have wanted to work with? Not the extended NWO roster, but that tight group of guys, the first 5 or 6. Who could you have thrown in there also that you thought would have worked that you didn't get a chance to do promos with, and that you thought would have worked with that NWO sensibility, whether they were in WCW or not? Maybe they're a WWE guy.
I thought Booker was. I wanted Booker in that original, you know, because I wanted a black athlete. I wanted a black man, and Book was, you know, Book was a real dude. You know, he always has been. I remember I asked him. I said, "Book, would you join NWO?" He looked at me and said, "Big fella, man, Kev, I don't want to work that fucking hard. You guys work every fucking house show." I said, "All right." Like,
so you did approach him about it?
Fuck yeah, yeah.
You should have had him wear a white shirt. That would have been awesome, with black NWO logo on it.
Oh, well, what did you? You closet racist.
So Booker, I could totally see that working.
Yeah, but that was before Book had the dreads and all that.
Yeah, no, sure, I remember. Yeah,
that was. I thought he was fucking sweet as G.I. Bro myself.
But he, maybe the mic work, mightn't have.
No, he's always been able to do what he needed to do.
Yeah, okay.
Fucking Black Snow and Chet Lemon were gold on that fucking
Chet.
Anytime we fucking did a little play-by-play.
Listen, Kevin, you can get your Sundays back now if you're daunted by lawn care. I know you have a little patch there.
Yeah, I could cut mine with my Manscaped.
Listen, but for our friends out there that spend an inordinate amount of time, let me tell you about Sunday, okay? Get your Sundays back, quite honestly. It is warming up. It's trying to. It's back and forth here, but you know what? Getting out in the yard, digging in the garden, it's one of the most popular parts of spring. When that weather starts to change, people get excited about this. And Sunday Lawn Care is going to make it easier to enjoy your days than ever. Super, super simple to use, and basically you'll get to reclaim your weekend because it is so easy and fast. Sunday Lawn Care is going to allow you to take one thing off that to-do list, okay, and spend time working on your yard. Enjoy your time playing in the yard, or whatever you like to do, chilling in the yard. So think about this, all right? No trips to the store, hauling heavy bags. They're going to ship straight to your home. You just need a hose to apply Sunday. You can fertilize your whole lawn in less time than it takes to watch an episode of your favorite TV show. They only use ingredients that you can feel good about, okay? No harsh chemicals, no long waiting periods or trying to keep your kids and pets off the lawn. You simply apply it, you let it dry, and you're back to enjoying the yard. Seriously, if you have a significant piece of property and you've got to tend that lawn, give Sunday a shot this spring. And we're going to make it easy for you to do that because we're offering listeners 20% off. Think of the affordability, too, okay? Some lawn care services cost you more than $1,500 a year, but Sunday's full season plans, full season, start at just $109. So I want you to go to getsunday.com/Nash at checkout. That's getsunday.com/Nash, and you're going to get 20% off your custom plan. Thank you, Sunday. Go get your Sundays back.
I need to send a notice to the lady that had the second Airbnb. Maybe spray a little Sunday in that fucking front yard.
A little challenged, her lawn care?
I mean, if you like dandelions, I guess it's nice.
Too much growth in the bush.
Yeah.
Kevin, fans are desperate to talk to you by using the hashtag AskNash, and that's all we ask you to do. Hashtag AskNash. I know you all want your questions on here. We can't do it all. We can't do 2 hours of fan questions, for God's sake, so we try to get as much in as we can every week. Like Justin, who says, did you attend WrestleMania 3 in Pontiac? And if not, have you ever been to the Silverdome?
No, much like the Bob Seger Live double album that was done at Cobo Hall that held about 11,000 for a concert, if maybe 10. I was not one of the 9,742,000 that showed up at the Pontiac Silverdome.
93,173. Don't ask me why.
Yeah, but you asked. Yes, everybody on Earth was there.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah.
It's one of those rites of passage. One must.
I was too busy filming the Hindenburg.
The Cobo and the Joe. What was the distance between them? Were they competing venues?
Oh God, no! Cobo was so small.
Cobo
was around. So Cobo was at the same time frame as the Olympia. You know, so the Olympia fell to the Joe, and then the Pistons played. A couple of miserable years, like in half of the fucking Silverdome, until they got Auburn Hills built.
Oh, that they would drape off. I remember that they would drape off half of the dome.
I remember we went and saw a Pistons game, me, my brother, and somebody else, and afterwards it was the fabulous Thunderbirds were playing a fucking concert.
A little tough enough.
Yeah, so. Of course, my fucking, I got a fucking, I'm sitting there in the middle of the crowd and I'm fucking smoking a joint. And at this point, as I take the third hit and I hand it to my brother, I realize that from 3 different areas, I can see cops trying to get through the crowd to get us. Because I'm hitting a joint.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm standing on a ladder. So they think. And I look and I went, oh, fuck. And even they chased us. We went out. We hit the stairs before they were probably 50. They just gave up. I mean, it was just like we were so far ahead of them. We rabbited those motherfuckers. But I'll never forget that, man. It was just like after that, it was like, let's just not go back there. And then when they moved out to Auburn Hills, I can't believe they built that. And I thought it's a pretty good arena. And then they knocked that motherfucker down. But you didn't have a choice because. The Little Caesars Dome came in there, and the Pistons and the Red Wings both play there. And then, I think that whole area out there with the old Auburn Hills is like nothing but Amazon distribution. It's like,
oh, really?
Industrial
space,
unbelievable.
Josh Powell, you have to give yourself one of those bad 80s and early 90s occupation gimmicks. You have full gimmick control. I see a Detroit bad boy basketball player rocking 11 soft in the Nut Huggers and a Bill Lambier face protector. What profession, if, the dentist is taken, of course, by Isaac Yankem and the hockey player.
Maybe a fucking...
a UAW guy with like a wrench?
Spot welder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a little somebody auto worker.
Well, can we come up with a name? Something line, right? Because you're on the line.
I might go with Hank Prokowski, auto work. Polish guy. Tough.
Sure, why not?
Tough Polish guy. Actually works in Hamtramck and and goes home to Hamtramck.
But wrestles at night. Auto worker by day, wrestler by night.
Yeah.
Chesterfield's.
Poletown.
Unfiltered Chesterfields.
Works at the actually works at the Fisher Body Plant built in Cadillacs. We'll pin this thing down like Vince used to.
Bobby Plant, maybe instead of Body Plant. Bobby Plant. Very good. Sosh Bill says Kevin Sullivan has long claimed he's the one who convinced Hogan to turn heel. Was it Kevin? If not, who, singular or plural, was it?
Kevin was the only person that Hulk was with that day, and Kevin's
kept him in his house, didn't he? So that no one would see.
In his condo up in he lived in the peninsula, which was one of the nicer buildings at the time in Daytona Beach. I think he lived in the penthouse.
So we can maybe go with that story that it was Kevin.
No, I 100% believe that.
Okay. So says Natal, would you ever do audiobooks? I could listen to pretty much any book on audio if it was you in my ear.
I mean, if somebody paid me to do it, if the price was right.
Well, you'll do your own audiobook someday, I would hope. I'm reading Todd Gordon's. We've decided he's too marble-mouthed, and I threw my hat in the ring and got the contract to read the book I co-wrote with him.
I'll never write a book. So.
Well, that's what you say now. There'll come a time where you'll want your memoirs.
I won't.
As mortality gets closer, you'll want to leave a legacy.
If you weren't smart enough to hang out with me, and
you don't get the stories.
No, fuck you. But you know what? We got 150,000 plus subscribers and people that listen every week. So obviously, there's some incredibly brilliant souls out there.
Absolutely.
And I think, you know what? In the bottom of my heart, I think that no matter where we go, they'll follow us.
I agree.
I will follow you wherever you may go. There isn't a station too neat. Don't try to give me 2K. I'll say fuck you. Something like that.
Lyrics. Jacob Burnett, any good stories or memories of Roddy Piper? Seemed like one of the realest dudes in the game, gone way too soon.
Never really spent any time with him.
You spent one altercation with him, I do know, in a locker.
My mother said if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
All right.
I thought he was great. I thought he was a great heel. I think he was a great promo guy. Flair fucking digs the shit out of him. That's a huge, like, Flair doesn't put a lot of guys over, he puts Roddy over. I saw a thing the other day that actually made me smile. It was like, nobody was as cool as Ric Flair in a Grand Wagoneer with Roddy Piper driving shotgun. That was the picture on Instagram, and I popped because they used to always do that whole House of the Rising Sun, and they were up all night, and Rainbow Stew because they take
Rainbow Stew.
Yeah, the old Rainbow.
For anyone that doesn't know, Rainbow Stew was when you reached in, took a handful of pills like Skittles of all different colors, shapes, and types, and you just went on whatever ride it sent you on.
By 6 months into the WWF, when I came in there, I was like a physician's. What's that? 5 milligram generic Canadian Valium. What's that?
I just used
some kind of halcyon.
I just used that phrase. I'm working on a book with somebody who referenced the Rainbow Stew.
Rainbow Stew.
I think I put the phrase, it turned our locker room into a room of scientists.
Yeah, it really did, man. It was like, fuck. Unbelievable.
Peter D says, hi, Kev. What is the etiquette for former WWE wrestlers at WrestleMania? Can they just turn up and be allowed backstage, or do they need to be given permission? Can you just walk on into any WWE event backstage?
Well, I mean, I wasn't invited to anything this year, and I'm one of those people that if I'm not invited, I don't.
You don't go.
You know, yeah, because what are you doing here? I don't know. I was 2-time Hall of Famer. I thought maybe I could come to the Hall of Fame, but if you don't have a chair or seat for me, I'd sit in my room.
But would one generally be welcomed? A former wrestler.
Like I said, man, you know, if somebody doesn't send me a card and ask me to RSVP, I don't do it. I mean, that's just me.
You don't want to be at a party you're not invited to.
No.
Understandable.
Obviously, I mean, whatever.
And this week was a party in and of itself. It's good to know we're responsible for so many people's happy Mondays just by our kind of relaxed, come on in, sit down, and pull up a chair.
I think I might have set a personal record for the least amount of fucks on this show tonight.
I'm sure somebody's got a running count, and they'll let us know how we did with that.
I don't remember.
Did you take the cannabis?
Yes.
Okay, so I think maybe that puts you in a more relaxed. I think maybe the.
But last week, somebody on our comments said 8,077 F-bombs. Way to go, Nash, or something like that. And I was thinking to myself, like, because what'll happen a lot of times is I'll throw 3 of them, like, you know. So I'm like Nolan Ryan, you know. It's like I'm shaking off everything. They give me the one, fuck. Give me the one, fuck.
Right.
You know, so those don't count against my pitch count right there. Those are just
the rapid fire ones you're talking about.
These since I've said the count.
Oh, these don't.
These don't count. No, these don't count because I'm trying to make a point that I think I was and not because I was restricted. I actually took a little bit more of the cannabis tonight.
And I think it just put you in a different mind frame. I think the alcohol maybe brought about some of the profanity.
Well, I never drank down here. I never drank. I don't drink. Like I would never drink anything and drive 1.5 miles up this fucking road. And that's an F.
Oh, with
with
your friends on every street corner.
Oh man,
Smokey in the bush.
Yeah, there's no way. I'm going 1.5 miles. I'll set the Mustang on 35 cruise when I leave here.
Just to make sure your foot doesn't get heavy at all.
Yeah, you ain't getting me, baby.
Well,
and I don't. I'm at a point in my life, man, where it's just I don't really. I'm not in search of a buzz, you know?
Well, listen, whatever you're doing is working. You're in the zone. And this is a good Kevin Nash, I think. As good a Kevin Nash as
I actually, you know, as time goes on, I just hope, you know, my son's looking down at me. He at least is, you know, realizing that I actually, though, it pathetically doesn't seem at times I'm actually trying to be a better human being on a daily basis. So,
Well, I think that should be a goal of anyone. And yeah, I mean, if that was the precipitating factor, if that's what you're saying.
no, I mean,
to
it was a factor, but I mean, it just never hurts to, I don't know, just be nice.
Well, we're all work in progress. I mean, it's not over until it's over.
Now, if I would have ran into somebody in that Airbnb with that knife, shit's off on that count, buddy. I mean, you might be
Better person unless you're told to put both bags on the scale.
yeah, that's just. But there's
Over the
certain. Yeah, come on, that's poking the bear.
Klig This is a production of Butch and Sundance Media, produced in association with Podcast Heat. Producer Steve Kaufman, graphics by Dominic D'Angelo, title sequence and audio edit by Wesley Burleson, theme song by Dale Oliver, technical research by Tristen Nash, copyright 2023, Butch and Sundance Media. Kev, you want to do another one?
I think we got 2 next week.
Well, in 2 days, don't forget, in 2 days, join us for tomorrow, actually, I think, right? What is it, Monday? It's Monday now? You're going to join us tomorrow, Tuesday night.
Yeah. I have a hard time acting like I'm doing something like that.
Well, all your promos were like that back in the day, right? Tomorrow night in Sioux Falls. Meanwhile, that's 3 weeks away.
And they were rotten. That's why nobody showed up. I phoned them motherfuckers in.